Lawmakers were a bit vague on where the cuts were coming from, just saying there's roughly $2.3 billion in cuts in the budget. Now, when it comes to taxes and fees, they were a bit more clear about that, saying they were coming from IT and data services, the wealthiest Marylanders, and then a slate of smaller fees and costs.
Our biggest framework will emphasize spending cuts over tax increases.
Around lunchtime, Governor Westmore and state Democrat leaders shared their plans to close the more than $3 billion state deficit.
Today, I want to announce that we have agreed to take a number of things off the table.
Senate President Bill Ferguson says they won't raise sales taxes, property taxes, or tax deliveries, but they will raise them on
data and IT services at half the rate of the current rate on goods.
They'll also raise taxes on capital gains and on the wealthiest Marylanders, but the governor promises
94% of Marylanders will either get a tax cut or see no change in their income taxes.
Will you raise taxes again next year, the year after?
We're always going to make sure we're protecting Marylanders. And I've said before, I have a very, very high bar when it comes to how we're going to think about taxes. But I also know this, tax reform is incredibly important.
On the other side, Governor Moore says the state will make roughly $2.3 billion in cuts.
This is the largest amount that has been cut from a Maryland state budget in 16 years.
We were told it's a combination of entitlements, reductions in staff, and funding, but when asked for specifics...
Can you give us an example of one?
Vacancy reduction.
Seat an hour.
Vacancy reduction is a great one.
Very few details offered. I guess we're going to have to wait and see what is brought up in committee later today.
Republican lawmakers say they haven't had much, if any, input on the taxes or cuts.
We learned about this the same time that you guys did.
Senate Minority Leader Steve Hershey says they welcome the cuts, but new taxes, especially tech taxes, will hurt Maryland in the long term.
And yet he's going to put a first-in-the-country tax on those types of services, and we just don't think that's the way to go if you want to grow the economy and grow businesses here in Maryland.
So now that the budget's been agreed upon, it has to pass through all of the committees, so that should be finished through tomorrow, and then next week go to both houses in the General Assembly for a vote. But I should point out that this is a super majority Democrat General Assembly, so it's highly, highly likely this budget will pass in its current form. In Annapolis, I'm Matt Gregory, WUSA 9.